Okay, so it appears that the ending cliffhanger of chapter 27 resulted in a dud. Or did it? Because after all, China Su looks surprised but unsure of her feelings within the heat of this particular moment. And nevertheless, it does help to advance the relationship by the end of chapter 28 between both Taiki and China Su. So, let's talk about everything. Hello everyone and welcome to the Animezilia, and today let's talk about chapter 28 of the Blue Box manga series. A chapter that focuses more on the character of China Su. And overall, it was a very pleasant read of a chapter, and it was one that I thought was much needed. Because we've had a lot of focus on other characters within this current series, but not so much on our main girl China Su, so this was quite refreshing. So first and foremost, let's start off this review by talking about the interaction between Taiki and China Su as the chapter opened up, because this does help to shape the structure and the focus of the chapter in its entirety. Especially when you think about that bed scene from chapter 26. All these emotions that China Su has been feeling are building up to something big that happens in this chapter and is still to come soon. So overall, this opening interaction I thought was a little bit disappointing, although with that said, it does have some positive highlights within it. Taiki seemed to have chickened out of what he was going to say, and I really can't fault the character for doing so. It was quite a pressured situation that he put himself in. The simple fact though that this occurred just keeps adding to the growing list of romantic fake-outs purely for the base of comedy. Now this is why I said it was a little bit disappointing. I was hoping for something good to happen, but unfortunately it was a bit of a comedic sketch. Or skit. However, with that minor issue out of the way, this segment did a great job of portraying China Su's reaction, which ultimately leads to her trying to understand her feelings a little bit more. When Taiki grabbed her arm, China Su's expression was not that of anger, nor was it that of fear, but surprise. And up to this point, her reaction does make sense, because Taiki's actions have been very out of character and very bold of him. Now, of course, throughout the series, we've not been given any reason to suspect or think that China Su is someone that could or would fake her emotions/expressions. So then, to see the next two expressions on her face be portrayed as both a smile and sadness makes me believe that A, she was caught off guard with this arm-grabbing situation, which shows the surprise on her face. B, she was happy and felt comfortable, thus giving us that smile. Now remember, Haru last chapter mentioned or speculated that China Su would probably be comfortable with someone or like someone if she accepted physical contact from them, because she's someone that keeps her distance. Yet after Taiki initiated physical contact with her, she was surprised and smiled. But then it moves us to her left wondering why she was feeling the way that she does, and possibly a little disappointed in Taiki's reasoning for grabbing her arm. Maybe she realizes that Taiki was lying about the bucket excuse that he gave her. After all, Taiki, still can't ask China Su the question he wanted to ask her before national qualifiers took place. And do you really need to grab someone's arm just to ask where the buckets go when you can quite clearly see them? Seems a little suspicious to me. Now then, moving along, the panel where Nagisa states that she's got no time for a boyfriend because of the team gives us the moment of when China Su realizes yet another person thinks of her in a poor light when it comes to dating. She showed the expression of shock, but this isn't the only time that this has happened, because way back in chapter 7, we have an example of China Su learning how Taiki saw her in regards to romance, which led to China Su, feeling hurt and downhearted. Remember that cliffhanger that we saw in chapter 7 where she walked off saying that's how we must feel? Well, this kind of interaction with Nagisa in this particular panel just kind of made me remember of that. So I kind of like the parallels between the two there. And speaking of the Nagisa and China Su interactions, That conversation about the team being grateful for Chanatsu for staying was so wholesome and sweet, and that panel where Chanatsu breaks from her cool and collective personality and freaks out when Nagisa brings up living with a Hoshi was pure brilliant. This was fantastic comedy and I loved every second of it. These two characters, Nagisa and Chanatsu, have such great chemistry with each other, and you would expect that because A, they're on the same team, and B, they seem really close friends, so I'm glad that's a thing that's in the series. Nagisa, you clearly scored a 3-pointer with that comment. Now then, sticking with the topic of wholesome segments, this chapter presented us with a Chanatsu and Taiki's parents' conversation. Taiki's father being scared of his wife put to one side though, I loved the emotional and impactful impact that this small segment carried along with it. It was a very unexpected segment, but it was well appreciated, as it helps to elevate both parents within this situation. And that flashback really does help me enjoy Taiki's mother a lot more as a character. After all, she understands the pressure and the magnitude of the situation that Chanatsu is currently dealing with, and how important basketball is to the character of Chanatsu as well. And that's why she's expressing so much passion, so much desire to help support Chanatsu's dream like an adult should. Taiki's mother is just absolutely fantastic, and I'm really grateful that this flashback was introduced into the series. Really big thumbs up from me here. Now then, as for Taiki's actions, they were rather distant and strange throughout this chapter, making the grabbing of the arm a bigger deal than it actually was. He thinks that because he came on a bit too strong, he now has to and wants to give Chanatsu some more space, thus presenting some awkwardness within the current chapter. However, like the best girl that she is, Chanatsu sees this opportunity to get some more alone time with Taiki and acts boldly, telling him it's time to go, but not with a strict or stern tone in her voice, more so with a welcoming smile. Now then, a part of me believes that Chanatsu sees something wrong with Taiki. After all, he'd been acting weird, sending mixed signals and giving off some weird vibes as of late. Like the arm grabbing situation, and the refusal to go out with her to the shops. She's a very smart and perceptive character, and Chanatsu is someone who's also able to get Taiki to open up and express himself because they've been able to support each other in their hardest times throughout the series. So Chanatsu's probably end goal here is not to try and woo Taiki off his feet by getting him to confess that he loves her and confess her feelings towards him, but actually to get Taiki to go with her and clear the air, as both have feelings or misunderstandings that they want to clear up and understand each other and resolve their own issues between one another, so it makes living with each other a little bit more pleasant. Not saying that it's unpleasant at the moment, but I feel like Chanatsu actually doesn't have a personal ulterior motive here. More so, she sees Taiki in distress and wants to help him out. I do really hope though that we get another emotional bonding moment for these two, and hopefully, well, I know it might sound a little bit cheeky, but I want them to hold hands while walking to the shop. I know, I'm crazy. But it would be a nice panel and heartwarming segment to see when drawn in this manga. With that being said though, I just love seeing a Chanatsu focused chapter, and it looks to be continuing in chapter 29. So to see her act a bit more boldly, her taking action, and her just being more brilliant, because that's what we got this chapter. More of the same next time, please. As a side note, this face that she makes on page 18 looks like she's saying, seriously Taiki, are you really going to make me do all of the romantic work within this series? Come on, let's go. I know she's obviously watching him closely and trying to assess the situation, but she looks a little annoyed in this panel. I thought that was quite funny. Overall, this chapter I thought was great for building the character of Chanatsu once more, as it gives us some more brilliant facial expressions. Just look here. As well as the fact is, the art style was really beautiful throughout, it always is, but this chapter was fantastic, phenomenal. You understand what I mean. So what do you think of this chapter overall? Let me know in the comment section down below. And I do hope you've enjoyed this review. If you have, hit like, comment, subscribe, all of that good stuff. And I'll be seeing you next time. Have a great day. Alligator, matinee. Goodbye.